The red light is on. The Squirrel Report is live.
Yep, we're live.
Or should we call it the Sausage Report this week?
Yeah, we're not having any adult supervision.
We're unsupervised. This is going to be bad. No. It's just going to be an hour of car talk.
Yeah.
Now, Ellen, you can really get into the nuts and bolts on your Jeep. I have to live vicariously through you. Because it doesn't look like I'm ever going to get a new car given the current state of things.
Yeah, that's I somebody on Facebook was saying they were waiting on used car prices to come back down. And I was like, ain't happening.
Yeah, you wait for used car prices to come down in one hand and wait for ammo prices to come down in the other and see which goes down first.
I get lots of emails from the various online ammo retailers about ammo prices are coming down. And then I go look and it's like, yeah, they're coming down like half a cent around or something.
They're coming down to where they were 2 years ago.
Right.
Not 10 years ago.
Yeah. And those days have passed. I mean, the component prices, the price of copper and lead has gone up insane. So,
well, they closed the last new lead refinery under Obama, and that's starting to pay dividends.
Yeah. And copper's gone crazy too. So
that's why they're stealing catalytic converters. Oh, that's titanium, but you get the idea. Yeah. Platinum. Thank you.
Platinum.
That's right.
And, they get in there, they whip under there and they use those little string saws or the electric, and cut right through them and they're out and they can do it in like 30 seconds or less. And you come out and you start up your hoopty and
it's even worse when you have a big jacked up Jeep that you don't even have to they don't even have to like bend over to get under that. Yeah. They just walk underneath. Boop, boop, boop.
Well, my Jeep sits in the garage, so it's not along with the truck. I don't leave my vehicles parked outside.
Yeah. The hail you get, it's pretty smart to do that.
Yeah.
We have a smaller than average garage to begin with, and I have 2 motorcycles. So,
there's a cat licking itself there for your viewing pleasure.
For your viewing pleasure. Oh goodness. So yeah. For that's one of the reasons my next endeavor is to beef up the home security monitoring. Getting some little plug-in cameras for around the house and a central. Okay. The hell is it? Blink, I think is the. They're like.
There's so many of them.
It's. And then one of the remote doorbells because that's a smart thing to do.
Well, it'll at least let the cops know who they're looking for.
Yeah. Well. Realistically, the biggest reason that I want the doorbell, it's 2-way because I can, look at it on my phone and tell them, go away. There is no soliciting.
Right.
I am not interested. And unless you want to hear the sound of a gun safe opening, you might want to leave.
Right. I would, I sit my office is like the window looks out on the front walk. And every once in a while, I'll see people come up.
Yeah, that is the same way here.
I'll see people come walking up, passing out something, and somebody will ring the doorbell and stand there. And most of the time, I just ignore them and they go away. It's not my job to open. Not my job to answer the door, just because some idiot knocks on it.
No, your job is to feed the cats.
That's right.
They don't pay me to open the door.
That's right. The cats do not care about opening the door for somebody.
Yeah,
not in their wheelhouse.
Shoo them away. I'll poke my head out and be like, I'm not interested. Well, let me tell you about I'm not interested. Let me save you time. I'm not interested. Whoa. And again, when I put on my I'm angry face, they tend to leave.
I have a lot of respect for the people that that have the patience and fortitude to troll people like that and just like string them along and waste their time.
You know, I worked
I
several
can't do
jobs where
that.
we did cold calling, and you know, I've been there,
Right.
and you know, it's like, look, you know, I've been in your shoes. I know what you're doing. I'm not interested. Let me save you time. You know,
Yep.
you can run your pitch 10 times. I'm not going to buy it. You
Yeah.
know, you go, oh well, you know, we just happen to be in the neighborhood. That's the workaround for
Yeah.
we're not soliciting. We just happen to be down the street. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't need a new roof. Trust me. I'm not switching to Verizon. You know,
Yeah. Or
just
or we were doing some work in your neighbor's house and we thought you no.
yeah. Oh, since we're here, you know,
Yeah. No,
no,
you're
I
not.
don't need. We don't have termites. You know, I'm perfectly capable of killing ants on my own. I
Yep.
don't need pest control. It just go away. You know, you want to mow my lawn cheap? I'm willing to listen. Other than that, not
Yeah.
interested. It's Virginia. I'll shovel my own snow.
Well, when you get
Although
it,
although that's one of those things. Like if a neighborhood kid comes by and wants $10 to clean my driveway, I'll give
that's
it to him
that's
because you're
different.
showing initiative. I'm
Right.
more than happy to reward initiative.
Yep.
You know, and like I mean, our driveways like my when I had the Dodge, it covered half the driveway. That's the size of our driveway.
So you had a built-in snow cover.
Yeah, it was like we only had to do half. If I pushed the snow off of the Dodge onto the lawn, and I just had to shovel out one side, we were done.
Yay.
But you know, they're not big driveways, and that was part of the appeal. You know, our driveway up in Mass, which you know, a state known for getting snow, it was 2 cars wide and 4 cars long.
Oh wow.
And actually up at the top it was 3 cars, well, 4 cars wide at the top. You know, so there was a lot of that was a snowblower, especially when we would get 2 feet at a time.
Oh, I bet.
Here it's like we
Of course,
got 2 feet once.
If you lived in California, that snowblower would be illegal now.
That's right, along with generators, which is going to get very interesting as more electric cars come online and the grid gets even more taxed.
How
meaning,
often do they shut down the power in California?
So often you won't even notice.
And then they're telling people on the other hand, oh no, you can't have a generator. They're
You're
illegal.
not allowed to have. Oh, just buy electric lawnmowers. I owned an electric lawnmower. They're good for 1/4 of an acre, brand new.
Yeah.
Which means if you have a half-acre lawn, you will have to charge it overnight to mow your whole lawn.
It's gonna be tough for the guys doing landscaping because
yes, they will have to go out of state to buy new equipment.
I bet you that's gonna be illegal too.
That'll be the next step.
You can't import it.
But again, how do you prove that? They're not serialized.
Well, they'll come up with something.
Oh, almost certainly.
They'll just make it flat out. At some point, they'll just make it flat out illegal. And then, but you know, I mean, I was reading a thing by one of the landscapers, and he was trying to figure out how many replacement batteries he'd go through in a day.
Yep.
Not for the lawnmower, just for like the weed eaters and shit. Because, you know, you're replacing a battery every 10, 15 minutes.
Yep.
And then you got to charge them. And then they go bad. And you got to throw them out and buy new ones.
Yep. There was a.
And the lawnmowers, I'm pretty sure. Yep. I don't remember ever seeing an electric lawnmower that had a quick replace battery in it.
The one I had, you could.
Oh, really?
You could, yeah. Oh. You could buy another. It lifted right out. It was very neat. You could take the battery inside the house to charge it, you know, to plug it in and charge it.
Okay.
Or you could just plug it in the garage. And you could. I mean, the battery is $120 and I spent $200 on the mower.
So yeah, but just imagine you're going to go through 2 or 3 batteries for every house that you mow.
Yep. And it takes like 4 hours to charge the battery.
Right. Which means you're not, I mean, and how are you you can't charge the battery when you're out driving around unless you have a generator. So, you know, they're going to have enough batteries charged up with them to be able to do all the lawns that they want to do.
What's interesting isn't that how they do the Tesla charging stations? What? They just park a diesel generator.
Oh yeah.
So explain to me, California, how this is going to work. You know, it's like Oregon saying there will be no diesel power by 2035.
Mm-hmm.
Really? So no trains?
Well, so the good news is for people that in California, diesel generators are still legal.
Really?
It's just the gasoline ones they made illegal. And propane and natural gas generators are still legal.
That makes sense.
So it's really just gasoline. And the apparently the people that wrote the law were really targeting lawnmower, yard work equipment and stuff like that. Not specifically generators. Although while they, it would have been easy to exclude generators, just put in a line. This law does not apply to gasoline powered generators.
Right. Which are, by the way, very big in the RV community.
Oh yeah. It's a huge problem. In fact, that's where I was reading most of this info was in the RV newsletters and stuff.
Because they don't have diesel. They don't use diesel. You don't need a diesel generator in an RV.
Well, they have
for the power load that it's going to generate.
Even the ones that are like diesel pushers, their generator is a gas powered generator.
Because the diesel ones are more expensive.
Right.
And
even gross overkill.
400,000.
I mean, a diesel. I mean, they don't make a, they don't make a sub 10,000 watt diesel generator. I mean, it would be ridiculous. Plus it's going to cost, crazy amounts of money.
So like it's going to ripple through the RV community.
Yep.
And that's a fairly sizable community.
Oh yeah, especially in California.
Because it's California, exactly. Just like we note that when they come out with some, like when they had the California emissions, how long was it before that became nationwide? Because California is such a large consumer.
Yep. Well, probably what they'll do is they'll probably do something like what they did on my pickup truck, whereas they have a generator tied to the engine and a big ass lithium battery. I mean, just for the big RVs. Run off the battery. When it gets low, the engine fires up, charges the battery, and you keep on going.
Oh, but then does the whole thing become a gas powered generator and is no longer legal?
No, because they're diesel.
Oh yeah, the diesel pushers,
right.
But
I'm talking about them. I know the little
there's
gas.
A lot of Class A's and Class C's.
The little Class A's and Class C's are fucked. There's really no way around it.
Yep. And it's just it's that unintended consequences, or maybe it is intended. Who knows? I mean, I'm sure they look at those, big gas guzzling RVs and are just horrified.
Right. And they're gonna look at where is your vehicle registered, right?
Yep.
I mean, if you've got a California registered RV, you're after a certain date, you're not going to be allowed to have a gasoline generator in it. Now you could,
I think you can keep all your gas powered stuff can stay. They're not immediately illegal for now. Exactly.
You want to put money on whether
in and of itself is kind of stupid because like lawnmowers are stupidly simple machines.
Right. Like, you take good care of a lawnmower, it lasts forever.
Yeah. A push mower, especially.
Right.
I mean, even the big ones though, you walk behind or ride behind or whatever, you ride on. They are not complicated machines.
Right.
And you can keep them running for 10, 15, 20 years easy without putting a lot of money in.
Sure.
A lot of times it's like, stuff starts rotting out, which really isn't a problem in most of California.
Right. And if you do, buy new tires for it, whatever,
Right.
I mean,
which it means that people are just going to keep the old stuff longer.
Yep.
Which means it's less efficient.
Yep.
It's just.
Yep. It's gas cans and shower heads all over again, man.
Yeah. Toilets and light bulbs.
Yeah.
And it's just.
What I'm worried about is the California is going to creep into the nationwide. Just like it did with remember the California cars?
Yep, your car.
Back in the 80s, you had the California car because California, they made California cars because their smog requirements were different than the rest
Yep.
of the nation.
And
then at a certain point, the whole nation was California.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. California emissions used to be one of the, the things you could choose when buying a new car.
Right.
And now it's not, because that's become the norm.
Right.
And, so if you're outside of California, or even if you're inside at this point, if you haven't bought a gas generator, you might want to get one.
Too late.
Yeah.
I bet you there's not a single gasoline generator for sale anywhere in California.
Not in California, Oregon, Nevada, or Arizona.
Yeah. They're I'm sure people are snapping them up. It's probably driving 3 states over to buy them.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But
what are you going to do?
Speaking of crazy, how's this for a good segue? How about Senator Warren taking on Elon Musk? Oh, boy. Oh, honey, you're so far out of your league. It's not even
Senator,
vaguely humorous.
Senator Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
It just the sheer chutzpah of Elizabeth fucking Warren. But then again, she goes on about the high cost of college tuitions. The woman who's making $350,000 a year for teaching one class a semester.
She was the reason, or one of the reasons, for the high cost of college tuition.
Yeah, and don't even get me started there. That's.
I understand that. I understand that. At a certain level, people that have gone through the trials of academia and earned advanced degree feel like they should have some sort of compensation for teaching people for that. But I kind of look at it the other way around. Is most of the time, probably 90% of the time, they're teaching something that nobody's going to remember the day after they walk through and get their diploma.
I have not used calculus once since I graduated from college. Once, not even once.
I've used it a handful of times.
I've used geometry.
I've used the shit out of geometry and trigonometry.
Geometry is useful.
I've used the shit out of statistics.
Yep, statistics is also useful, but not calculus.
No,
I haven't had to calculate the derivative of anything in over 30 years.
I think unless you're like an engineer or something like that, you probably don't need calculus.
Yeah. And to be fair, I probably shouldn't have taken calculus. I should have gone like a couple levels down, because I just needed a general math class. So I'm just not that bright.
Yeah, I had to take it. Didn't do well.
I got a 72. It was the highest grade in the class.
Awesome.
The entire semester.
I remember I took an econometrics class because it was required for my major. And the guy, it was one of these combined classes where they do this in a lot of small departments where they got grad students and undergrad.
Oh,
yep. Basically, they take the same class. They just grade them different for, and I was like one of 2 undergraduates in the class taking this econometrics. And I remember the final exam, the guy gave me a B+, and I said, wow, that's a gift. And he goes, you did better than some of the graduate students.
Ooh.
And I was like, ooh, okay.
Well, that's just because you're, as they say, Alan, wicked smart.
Well, I don't. Econometrics is like voodoo science. I mean, there's just no. It's kind of one of those things where it's like you make your case, right? As long as you can logically logically put forth a reason for why you did a certain thing a certain way.
So this class no longer exists because nobody can put forth logical reasons for anything.
No, they still teach it. That's one of the problems with the science of economics is they tried to make it a fucking science and mathetize it, and you can't. you cannot write equations for human behavior. You just can't. Humans are, it's like the weather. It's just impossible. I mean, you can come up with general rules and incentives matter and shit like that. But if you're going to write some like 37 variable equation to try to explain why people do fucked up shit they do, it ain't happening. Just not happening.
You can sum it up in one sentence. It's people be crazy.
Yeah.
That's all you need. Why do they do anything? Because people be crazy.
Because it is. Yeah. I mean,
like I said, taking on Elon Musk. Like, lady, have you not learned anything?
I think she's got that like, I'm a senator, you know. You know, it's like senators have to be worse than doctors.
Basically, she sniffed her own farts too long.
Yeah.
You know, to use a colloquialism.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing, and in a quasi-related, I was observing with humor some left-leaning friends on Facebook discussing how terrible it was that when they discuss Jill Biden, they don't use her title. Why don't they use her title? And I just step back and I'm like, you mean like Dr. Rand Paul or Dr. Ben Carson? I know we've gone over this before, but it's you know, look, just you know, they got PhD or ED. I mean, it's not even a PhD.
It's an education. Yeah. And that's the funny thing is they want to hang, you know, they want to call her Dr. Jill, but
Dr. Jill.
The only, in my experience, and you know, I knew a lot of professors of various things, and every single one, nobody wanted to be called Dr. anything.
I had one. It was a music teacher in junior high.
Okay, there you go.
And it was, you know, it was one of those like whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm like seventh grade. I'm like what, 12?
Right.
You know, doctor. Dr. Izile. I would just tell a bunch of 12-year-olds it's doctor. It's like, what the fuck are you doing teaching junior high music, dude? You have a doctorate in music. You have a PhD in music theory.
Well, it just means he sucked.
Yeah, it's like, man, you couldn't even get a job in like a community college.
Right.
You're at a junior high.
Couldn't even do high school.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, you couldn't even make it to high school here.
Couldn't teach music in college or anything.
You know, you should be like, you know, big marching band or something, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
but speaking of Dr. Jill, did you see her interview?
No, I didn't.
Where Joe Biden rescued America from COVID. He rescued America.
Really?
According to Dr. Jill. And she's a doctor. She knows what she's talking about. And it's ridiculous that people are questioning his mental state. Just because he's reading end of message at the
it is ridiculous that people are questioning his mental state because it's obvious. There's no question about it.
It's clear the man's cheese has slid off the cracker.
Right. That is a cheeseless cracker for sure.
But yeah, Joe Biden has rescued America from COVID. No. And I'm like, I think you might want to consult with the news media who, you know, are still breathlessly, the Omicron is below it, blah, 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 blah.
What was the thing about Alec Baldwin's killed more people than the Omicron virus?
You know.
I think they had one person die in England with it, which means, you know, they died of something. They died of something else.
They died with it, not from it. Yeah. Like every description I've read it's identical to the common cold.
It is. Yeah.
And yet they're like freaking out is what they have to do.
Sure.
You know, and again, you know, I feel compelled to point out that at this point, Joe Biden has been president during COVID as long as Donald Trump has. And Joe Biden has 3 vaccines from which to choose. And which brings me into another thing, watching the left side of my friends list. It's all, oh, it's the unvaccinated that are the behind this. The unvaccinated, they're the reason we can't do this. Okay.
Wait. Is this where we get this episode kicked off of YouTube?
Well, no, because this has nothing to do with being vaccinated or not.
Okay.
It's the blame is on the unvaccinated people. It's the unvaccinated people. But a year ago, it was Trump. Trump killed those people. Trump has blood in his hands. Trump is guilty of 250,000 counts of murder.
Right.
Because he killed those people. He didn't do enough. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. Okay. It's established fact. Using your counting method,
Jay.
People have died under Joe Biden, who also has a vaccine. Oh, I'm sorry, 3 vaccines and boosters.
You know you can't do that.
And we've studied it for a year and a half. We have treatments, although you have to be sued to get the proper treatments. But that's
you can't expect Democrats to hold themselves to their own standards. Jay.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I know. It's just it's very amusing to see how seamlessly and shamelessly they switch. It was the president's fault in 2020. As soon as the Democrat came in, it's all those unvaccinated people, all those Trump people who are unvaccinated.
Yeah.
If it was the people's fault, if it's the people's fault now, it's the people's fault a year ago. So pick one. It's either it's a lot like the CNN correspondent who in the span of like 3 weeks was, well, Joe Biden has no control over the price of gas. And then, gas prices are falling. Thank Joe Biden.
Right. They fell, what, half a cent or something? I mean, it's like
that graph. It was 2 cents.
2 cents. Totally insignificant. And then
they had to massage the graph to even get a decline.
Yeah. And then the people in California are looking at $5 plus gasoline going, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Yes, it's the average gas price, not it just.
Yeah, but how do they calculate an average gas price, Jay? I mean, just think about it.
Well, Alan, they would average the price of gas in every state and then divide it by 50.
Yeah, but how do they? I mean,
you took economics. You can't calculate an average. Jeez.
Just think about it. How do you calculate an average price of gas even in a city?
Yeah. I mean, exactly.
Let alone the whole nation. It's ridiculous.
I mean, even in a state, it's going to vary. I mean, we had. It
varies from this side of the street to that side of the street. It varies by 10 cents.
Just going to say that when growing up and still there, I guess there's 2 gas stations. To leave my little town, go over the bridge to the big city, and there's right off the bridge there's a Richdale with a gas station and a Circle K, and the prices are almost never the same.
Right,
they're within eyesight of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the Circle K is easier to get into, so that's where I always went. They were usually the same price or cheaper.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
but yeah,
I go by what the sign at the HEB says. That's my gasoline price barometer.
See, I just go to BJ's Warehouse because it's cheaper.
Mm.
So
that's because you don't have an HEB.
Right, that's correct.
If you had an HEB, you'd go there.
Or Buc-ee's. Although we are getting an Aldi.
Hey.
So
that's pretty nice. Have you been to an Aldi?
I have not, but we are going to. So we're going to check it out.
Good.
I've heard they're reasonably priced, and they replaced a Food Lion, which I wasn't terribly familiar with.
I wouldn't walk into a Food Lion. I'd go to a Chinese grocery store before I'd go into a Food Lion.
You might find some good stuff at a Chinese. You might be able to find some bad.
I have been. There's 2 grocery stores that I've been to in my end of Houston that I walk up and down the aisles. I'm a guy shopper. I go get what I want, and I don't look at anything else. Right. I just go straight to the things I need.
I have my list. I know where to find everything. I arrange my list by aisle.
Yeah.
or by section of the store, I should
Right.
say.
So there's two stores I walk up and down the aisles just like in fascination. And one is the Chinese grocery store. The other's the Fiesta, which is more of a Mexican grocery store. And at both of those places, it's like going to another country. I mean, it's amazing. You just walk up into the aisles going, holy shit, look at that.
And if
you go to the Chinese store and there's like 2 aisles of ramen and 2 aisles of rice.
that's something I need to find. I need to find a good source of noodles. We've been experimenting with pad thai, and so it's like I gotta find some noodles. It's one of the neat things about the kids being out of the house is we can have a little more adventure culinarily.
Yeah, it's not all chicken nuggets and hamburgers.
Yeah, exactly, and we can have steak more often because it's like, hey, steak. We only have to buy steak for 2.
Except they're like insanely expensive now.
BJ's Warehouse, you can still get decent cuts for around $6 a pound, which is not terrible. It's not terrible. So
I got a spiral ham at Aldi for 95 cents a pound.
That's cheaper than chicken, man.
I know.
Yeah, the one that got me was we were at Safeway, which I guess it's part of the Stop and Shop Hannaford's giant conglomerate.
Yeah.
And we normally shop at Safeway. Their prices are generally, pretty good. And for Purdue boneless chicken, it was like $5.99 a pound.
Good Lord.
I was like, no. I mean, again, going back to the BJ's Warehouse, it's like $2.69, maybe.
Yeah, that's more like it.
I'm like, not $6 a pound for fucking chicken. That ain't happening.
Nope.
But again, that's where we're headed, folks.
Yep.
Let's go, Brandon. Because the price of food is curiously exempt from the inflation figures.
Yeah, if they calculated them, if they calculated inflation like they did back in the 80s, it would be over 15% right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It would be the highest it's ever been.
And why on earth they exclude things you have to buy?
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you don't need gas or power or heating or food.
Shouldn't it be the other way?
You don't need a place to live. You don't need clothes or shoes or tires or a car.
It's like,
so basically if you live in your mom's basement and play Xbox all day, you're golden.
Yeah. Or if you're a 40-year-old college student.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to exclude televisions and iPhones and
the stuff you don't actually need.
Exactly. If you want to exclude those, okay. I mean, hell, microwaves are cheaper now than they were in the 70s. I mean,
with inflation.
Literal dollars.
And they're better too.
Oh, miles better. Mm-hmm. Our microwave didn't die; it was killed. But somebody put a fork in it or a spoon, just not paying attention and blew it up. But it was okay because it was a shitty microwave. So I was like, serves you right.
Get to buy a new one.
It was like $100, and it's got all kinds of features, and the first microwave my parents bought was like 1978. They spent like $400 on
a Mana Radar
in $1978.
Yeah,
that's like $1,500 now.
Did it have the rotary dial or did it have the touchpad on?
It had a touchpad.
It was a Mana Radar range then.
It was a Litton.
Oh, a Litton. Ooh, fancy.
I don't know why I remember that. It was a Litton. I mean,
they had the spinny thing inside.
No, there was no spinny thing.
Oh, okay.
You had to rotate stuff manually, which
or buy the little. Remember the little wind up things? Remember those? The little you wind it up and put it in there, and it goes. It do a little sprint, go around and around. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, and yeah. the old day. And those are back in the days when you could hear the microwave. I mean, like you could hear the waves radiating.
Yeah, when that magnetron kicks in, you can hear it. Yeah.
Lights would go dim.
And they weren't sealed all that well. So it was just leaking microwave all over the damn
You could
place.
stand there with a marshmallow just outside the door and watch it turn brown. Ooh, hey, look, we're making s'mores outside the microwave.
Yeah.
But
good times.
Yeah. But remember, people with pacemakers should not operate this device.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
God.
That was funny.
Those are the things people conveniently forget when they talk about the good old days. Lead paint, asbestos, microwaves that could cook food across the room.
Yeah. Lead in the gasoline. That was a good one.
Yeah, regular or unleaded.
Let's give entire generations lead poisoning.
I don't even remember what the point of putting lead in was.
It's valve lubrication.
Oh, thank you. Well, there's another thing. Bias ply tires.
Yep.
Your tire could just pop for literally no reason because it felt like it.
Right.
And and again, I've been watching a lot of Top Gear, and Grand Tour, which is more current, but even the cars from like the mid 20 teens, you're looking at like you get like the Nissan Altima SR with the 3.5 V6.
Right.
That'll eat a Chevelle 396
yeah.
SS for lunch.
Yep.
And it'll go for 200,000 miles.
Right.
I mean,
my shitty little V6 in my Jeep puts out 200 horsepower.
Yeah.
There were Corvettes that didn't have 200 horsepower.
My RAV4 puts out 176 horsepower. The 81 Corvette was like 181. So my RAV4 puts out 5 horsepower less than a Corvette.
Yeah.
We joked. I had the last model year, the 1993 Dodge Ram, before they went to the big Kenworth looking one.
Oh, yeah.
And it had a 3.9 liter V6 that put out 180 horsepower. Buddy of mine had a Chevy Blazer with the 350 that put out something like 160.
Yeah.
He put out less horsepower, and it was 2 cylinders more and like double the cubic, or not double, but way more cubic inches. And that was 93. Now the V6, the 3.5 liter V6 they put in the Challengers and Chargers is 300 horsepower. It kicks the living shit out of the Mustang GT, which was like the fastest car in the late 80s.
Oh yeah.
It's like you look back and it was like, man, that was kind of like a wasteland.
Yeah, it really was.
There was from like 73 maybe 74, whenever 73, the first big gas crisis.
Right.
And then they started requiring the catalytic converters and all the emissions control.
Yeah, that sucked the horsepower right out of the engines.
Until probably late 90s.
Yep.
It really didn't start getting better until the late 90s.
And even then, it wasn't much better.
Right.
I mean, I've got, like my F-150 now has almost twice the towing capacity and payload capacity of an F-350 from 20 years ago.
You're not kidding, man. I looked at the towing capacity of the Toyota Tacoma.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 1,500 less than my Ram.
Yeah.
And I had the Hemi.
Yeah. And that's a mid-sized truck.
Yeah. It is the smaller of the two trucks offered.
Mm-hmm.
Although now Ford is back to 3 levels of truck.
What do you mean?
Well, they've got the Maverick, the Ranger, and the F-150, which is like the days of what was Ford's. Chevy had the Love.
Yeah. Oh, they had the Ford. The Ford had the little Ranger. Did they have a?
I think I got ahead of myself because I think GM
GM
was. No, Dodge was the other one.
Right.
Dodge had the Ram. It was the
Right.
one. It wasn't a 1500. It was a 150.
Yep.
They had the Dakota, and they
Right.
had the D50, which was like a rebadged Mitsubishi.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And the Ranger was a rebadged Japanese too, wasn't it? Mazda. That's right.
B3000.
Yeah.
Pickups, even now, they've always been just crazy. Like the Chevy S10 was the Isuzu Hombre. And now Nissan, the Nissan Frontier, is the pickup for like 8 different manufacturers. It's Suzuki, Mercedes.
Yeah.
It's
Crazy.
It's watching Top Gear and Grand Tour. It's like you realize how insulated the American car market is.
Right.
There's so, first of all, there's brands that just they can't sell them here, like the entire French market, Citroën and Renault,
Right.
and all of those cars. Most of the British stuff. I mean, what do we have for British cars here?
Well,
there's Jaguar and
but those suck.
Bentley.
What is it?
Jaguar, the only car company who's
the Cooper, the Cooper.
That's BMW.
Okay. I thought that was a British.
It was originally when it was Morris, but when they brought it back as the Mini in 2000 whatever, it's actually BMW. There's like the smart cars actually are Mercedes.
Well, we also don't have any turbo diesels.
We don't have a lot of the diesels that they have in Europe, and the other thing that we don't have are those small cars, and that's what infuriates me. And you go the Prius, for example.
Right.
It gets 45 miles to the gallon, blah, blah, blah. The Geo Metro got 50 miles to the gallon. Shut up.
Right.
It's just a crappy little 3-cylinder, but they couldn't give them away.
Right.
Because we don't like little cars.
Well, we also don't buy our gasoline by the liter for $9. So
yeah, well, it's sold by the liter for a reason. And that's because if it were sold by the gallon, they'd be reenacting Guy Fawkes Day.
Right. Yeah, can you imagine? Well, also they don't drive anywhere either. I mean, you go
smaller.
Yeah, I mean, even the entirety of Europe fits in like Texas, just about.
Alaska.
There's some overlap, but
but yeah,
it's so small. It's like, oh, we're gonna drive. And I always look at and it's like, oh, we're going to drive from London to Scotland. I'm like, how far is that? What, 200 miles? I mean, what's the,
you're going to go 3 countries away and it's a 3-hour drive.
Right.
Like, there's
that's cute.
There's plenty of states where you can drive for 3 hours and still be in the same state. In fact, there's only a handful where you can't.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Virginia's not very big, in the scheme of things, and it's more than 3 hours from where we are in Northern Virginia to the North Carolina border.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Northeast is different.
Yeah, it totally skews. Again,
that's all.
I live in Massachusetts. And I can be in literally every other state in New England in no less than an hour and a half.
Right.
And that's like with traffic.
Well, but you got to remember those states were laid out when you were either walking or riding a horse, and that's it.
Yep.
You had no choice. So they made them smaller. Pennsylvania was gigantic. Pennsylvania was the wild Western frontier.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, it was crazy. It was huge. It was the biggest state there was.
Huge.
Until, later. Yeah. I'm just looking at the map. I'm going to go to Moab next spring. And I was looking at the route and it's like an 18-hour drive. Half of it's
getting out of Texas.
Half of it's in Texas. And it's like, man, I'm going to spend like the first day of that drive in Texas.
Yep.
I'll probably spend the night in Texas, and then the next day I'll go through 3 states.
Doesn't Texas have like 85-mile-an-hour speed limits in spots?
Some spots, yeah. Not any of them you really want to drive. There's a few highways, like there's the highway between San Antonio and Austin. It's like 85 miles an hour. There's a few stretches, but if it's like the 2 lane, like the normal 2 lane highways, or two split highway, 2 lanes going each way, the
Yeah.
regular interstate.
Yeah.
Those are all like 75. They slow down to like 65 in the city.
Yeah. Which in and of itself is hysterical. I distinctly remember my mom had a 1983 Buick Century. That very generic mid-80s General Motors box, the Chevy Celebrity, the Cutlass Sierra.
God, those were some awful cars.
They were just terrible. Apparently so bad they won't die. Because you can still find like the mid-90s Centuries puttering around just like, but my mom's was one of the first ones out, is 83. And once you got it above like 60, the dash just started shaking. I mean,
because it wasn't designed to go over 55.
And again, in my RAV4, 80 miles an hour, it's just absolutely solid. There's no movement whatsoever. My son's little Honda Fit, which is an entry-level car.
Oh yeah.
Take it up to 80, no problem.
Yeah, they're much better now. I remember one of the first. Remember when the speedometers would stop at like 85?
Oh yeah, the 55 mile an hour speed limit. Yeah.
And the speedometer would stop at 85, and everybody's like, "Why does it need to go to 85? You can't go and now they go to like 120, 130, 140.
I had a Buick Somerset Regal with a digital dash. That was huge in the 80s.
I remember those.
It was like, it's digital. I remember the Nissan 300Z had one.
What was the one? What was the one? The Chevy. It was the shitty Z something. What was it? The Z. Remember that shitty little 2-door Z something
Cavalier car? Z24.
That was it. The Z24, and some models of those had the digital dash.
Yep, and at 85 miles an hour,
it just started blinking. You had no idea. It just
no
stopped.
Clue whatsoever. I got pulled over in New Hampshire, trying to get a young lady home before curfew. And the cop said, "You know how fast you're going?" And I was like,
"No idea."
It was blinking at 85, sir.
I was going 85.
I'm like, 85. That's what it said. It was blinking. Right. It took about 20 minutes for it to stop blinking, but anyway. Oh yes, the old days. But yeah,
I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all.
No, it's one of those things you always look back. You remember the good and the bad fades.
There are some things that I wish we still did, but they're more social than
public stocks.
Well, I mean more like shop classes in school.
Yeah,
I wish they still did that, because we have too many people that are incompetent in basic things, like, basic shit.
Yes, but also no, because that's something we as parents should be teaching our kids anyway. Now not shop so much, but you got kids that don't know how to pump gas. Well, it's not the school's responsibility to teach a kid how to pump gas.
Or kids that don't know how to tie their shoes.
Oh, excellent segue, Alan. Excellent segue. Yeah. I just saw that ad and I'm like, could you possibly perpetuate the stereotype of the American as a lazy fat sack of shit anymore?
Jay's talking about an ad for
sneakers
shoes
that have laces, but the heel collapses so you can step into it without tying your shoes, because tying your shoes is a horrible, you have to bend over.
Well, a lot of the kids these days can't bend over, so
I'm just like, and again, if this were marketed, as Brita had mentioned, as a something to help folks who can't, that would be one thing. But this was like, I hate bending over to tie my shoes.
We're like in the second generation of kids who don't know how to tie their shoes.
It was Velcro. I remember the Velcro shoes. And
Yeah.
let's be honest, who had the Velcro shoes?
I didn't.
It's the fat kids.
Oh yeah, that's
It's
right.
the kids who you bend over to tie your shoes and you came up. I was the fat kid, so I'm not just trying. I'm not picking on people here. We're gonna get angry letters, Alan.
I don't care.
No.
Yeah, that's probably a lot.
And again, a good part of it for me comes as someone who runs. And I want to tie my shoes. I want all that support. And there's no way you're going to get that with a collapsing heel.
You can't. That thing fly off your foot if you try to run in it.
Exactly. It's essentially a loafer that looks like a sneaker.
Right.
Or it's a loafer that looks like a sneaker. And I'm like, I want the opposite. I want sneakers that look like loafers. You want $1 million idea right there. You make yourself a nice wingtip that feels like a set of New Balance.
Yeah, that'd be comfortable. That'd be nice.
It'd be great for SHOT Show. I'll tell you that right now.
All the walking,
700,000 miles each day. Don't have to worry about my steps.
Yeah. Well, SHOT Show. I think those days are numbered. The days of an in-person convention like that are.
They keep pushing Omicron and Omega and the new Zeta.
I think. I get. I have worked from. I've worked from home since 2017 because we had a flood. Because some dumbass built a building in Houston with a basement. I don't understand, but it flooded. And they're like, you do mind working from home? Nope, no problem.
No, not at all. I'm happy to do it.
And I have worked from home. I will never go back into an office. I'll be like, if they try to tell me to go back in the office, I'll be like, okay, fire me. Ain't happening.
That is the one shining bright spot from all of the past 2 years worth of idiocy is that we finally have broken out of that mold.
Yep.
I still go in once or twice a week, and it's like helping photography and stuff. It's stuff that you kind of have to be, present for.
The office I would go to if I is still closed.
Wow.
Because the company I work for is based in California.
Yeah.
And so they treat everybody like they would in California, and everything in California is closed. So
I do wonder how long it's going to take before it starts really fucking up the real estate market. Especially,
it already is, Jay.
Especially with Starlink.
It already is.
Yeah. Because if you can buy a, 4-bedroom, 2,500 square foot home in East Nowhere, South Dakota.
Yep.
And no offense to anyone in South Dakota, it is an absolutely astonishingly beautiful state.
Sure. But there's nothing there.
Right. But if you've got Starlink internet, you can work remotely.
It's already happening. It is. And Starlink was the thing I've been waiting on to leave the city forever.
That's going to really, because it's the same price as, Comcast or Xfinity or whatever.
And it's high speed, low latency. I did the calculations. This was a super nerdy moment. I did the calculations because we were talking about it. We're talking about it at work because one of the problems we have as a global company is latency worldwide. And there's some, like we have some software that runs on servers in, let's say, the West Coast of the US, right? And people in India or China or wherever have to access it. Well, the latency is 400 or 500 milliseconds.
Oof.
Because of physics. The speed of light through fiber. There's literally nothing you can do to speed that up, except, and I did the calculations. I was like, the speed of light through fiber is much slower than the speed of light through vacuum.
Yep.
So radio
bounce.
And I actually did the math, and it turns out that a satellite, even accounting for retransmission lag, a satellite link to low Earth orbit. I'm not talking about geosynchronous satellite because that's slow. That's like half a second up and down. That's a delay. Remember when you used to call your grandma in Europe, kids, and you'd be that was
or news relays.
Right, same thing. But the low
We're going
Earth
live
satellite
to Bill, how's the
cloud
traffic?
is actually with the retransmit delay and all that. It's about 3/4 of the time delay of going on fiber the same distance. So yeah, it's crazy. And they're actually a lot of the stock traders are starting to do satellite links because they already do microwave links, right? Because microwave's faster than fiber cable over the same distance. So
it'll cook your burrito.
So they do microwave links. They go to the Chicago Mercantile Exchange or wherever NASDAQ is and whatever warehouse that is, and they'll put a microwave radio pointed back to their building 2 miles away, and that's where they'll do because the latency's lower, and so they're already doing that. So yeah, satellite, man.
We just had a little latency there, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, it's fiber.
So, still better than Skype.
Oh yeah, man, that was awful. I do miss the Skype hiss though sometimes. Remember that?
I missed the little notification when Skype.
It's a digital damn service. How the hell do you get a hiss on a digital service? That shouldn't happen.
Reminding you of the days of cassette tape.
I think they did it on purpose. I think they did it so people wouldn't use it for commercial purposes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure if you got like Skype Plus or Skype Unlimited or whatever the fuck they called it.
Yeah.
Skype Gold.
Yeah, they probably took it out for that.
God, but cassette hiss reminded me. There was a thing floating around Facebook. It's like, you want to know why Gen X is so angry? It's because we started out with records, then we had 8-track, then cassettes, then CDs, then MP3s, and now streaming. We've had to buy our music 6 fucking times, and it's like. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Like, how many albums do I have in at least 3 different media?
I got rid of everything I had. I did, and I pay Spotify $10 a month, and I'm damn happy to do it. And I get to literally listen to anything I want. I
still have CDs somewhere, probably in a box in my basement.
Yeah,
but other than that, it's I've got a collection of MP3s on a defunct computer, and then the rest for me, it's Amazon Prime Music.
Right.
It's like I'm an Amazon Prime member. I can listen to Amazon Music all I want. I set up my playlists. It's actually kind of awesome because I got it like broken up into like my metal playlist and my driving playlist, and it's neat. It's free, and I have unlimited data on my phone, so I don't care. My phone goes right into my car, which again, that's another thing that's completely and utterly changed.
Yep.
You remember, Alan, taking the cheap fucking AM/FM radio out of whatever car you had,
that was the first thing you did.
A cassette deck. I can listen to whatever music I want. Wow.
I don't have to be stuck listening to the radio.
And then it was a CD. Now, what was awesome about CDs was you didn't have to fast forward to the shitty songs on the album. Because there's always a handful of shitty songs.
Sure.
You could just push the button and, of course, don't go over any bumps because...
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
It's like cars don't even come with any sort of media player anymore because nobody uses it.
Right.
CDs, wake up, Grandpa. Yeah. Plug your phone in.
Oh, don't even have to plug it in anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Bluetooth.
I plug mine in just so it's charging. My car's a little too old to have the wireless charging.
I don't have wireless charging on mine. I don't really. I have a fundamental objection to wireless charging.
Really?
Yes.
I'm curious as to why.
Because induction charging is inefficient compared to direct connection wired
Yes,
charging.
that is correct. That is correct.
So watt per watt, I get more charging out of a direct connection than I do off of a magnetic induction.
Yeah, the biggest time I do the wireless is at night. I put my phone on a wireless
Well,
charger.
I do the same thing, but when I want to do it fast, I don't mess with the wireless charger because that's not fast.
What's nice about wireless chargers is you don't.
I mean, I have to. I my phone's 3 years old. I gotta charge it like twice a day.
Mine's almost that old, and it's actually not that bad. Honestly, though, I don't know because I'm always near a charger.
Yeah.
So it's like
top it up.
Yeah, it's always.
I keep it between 20 and 80% just because
I keep mine somewhere between 80 and 100 just because I'm paranoid like that. I also have like
it's gonna die.
8 of the giant batteries just in case.
Oh, I have some of those.
What somebody needs to do, and I'd be shocked if they don't exist already. Make one of those batteries that does wireless charging.
Oh yeah, they have those.
I may have to look into one because that makes so much sense.
Not only that, you can buy a graphene battery that does it.
What's the?
You've not heard of the graphene batteries?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
It's instead of lithium.
Okay.
It uses graphene. It doesn't have the problems that lithium has with like catching on fire and
Oh, where's the fun in that?
It also charges like crazy fast. I mean, you're going to start seeing graphene batteries in everything within a year or two.
That's
lithium ions. In fact, a lot of the high performance RC stuff is already all graphene batteries. A lot of the if you go to Amazon, you Google graphene battery, you look for graphene batteries. They're all for stuff like drones and stuff like that.
It's funny you mentioned the RC stuff because I studiously avoid RC anything because
you don't want to get sucked in.
Bingo! Because years and years ago, it was huge. There was a hobby shop in the town next to us that had a robust business in RC everything. That between the little race cars, the off-road trucks, planes, helicopters, and they used to every week they would set up in the parking lot behind them. They'd set up a little course and they'd have cars race. And I was like 10, 12. I'd ride my bike to watch the races, and I wanted, the little RC, the shit, I don't even know, off-road style. The car from Toy Story. Yeah. That's the one I wanted with the fancy battery and all that.
Sure.
They were like $150 in 1982.
Which was crazy expensive.
It was like the little spoiled rich brats had them, but the same kid that had a dirt bike and a go-kart and
right.
I'm like, I got sticks behind the house,
Yeah.
But and it's like now it's like, oh shit, I could afford one of those. And it's like, no, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because I'll have a $700 radio, 1/20th scale Jeep,
one of the things I've been avoiding for that same reason is the what is it, the PF the ones where you put on the goggles.
Oh yeah, like the virtual reality stuff.
Yeah, but you're linked to your drone, so it's like you're sitting in the drone flying it around.
Oh yeah.
There's some of the starter kits for that are like $400 or $500, and I'm thinking, man, that's pretty cheap. I could do that.
Drones are another thing that I've been like, nope, I want no part of it.
Yeah, because I got a little Mavic Mini that's pretty nice. I mean, it's a cheap little camera drone, and I use it for getting shots of stuff.
Yeah, well, that's just it. It's like I could see getting one of the entry-level ones and then be like, ooh, wait a minute, I bet I could get much better if I got this. And,
I stop myself at least twice a month from doing exactly that, Jay. I got to be honest. It's just It's like drugs, you know, you get started and you're just soon you're mainlining and
Yeah. It's the same reason I don't own any suppressors. Because once I buy one, I'm going to have 30.
I have one, but the reason I don't have more than one is because I don't. It's just a pain in the ass to get more. I mean, I literally waited almost. What was it? Almost 10 months for the one I have.
There are significant revamps coming to that system, which scares the shit out of me just from a monetary perspective.
I know. I mean, well, it's been an hour. Jay left. See if he comes back. There he is.
Hour and 5 minutes, like clockwork.
Been an hour.
But yeah. But yeah, I know the guys at Silencer Central have been really working on the e-forms, and it's going to get a lot faster.
Texas passed that law that said, "Fuck you, government. We're gonna."
Yeah, I don't hang.
But again,
because Montana did the same thing with machine guns. Don't forget.
Yeah, I know. But so here's the thing. For some reason that nobody can seem to figure out why, the states that legalize marijuana don't seem to have any problem from the feds.
Yeah.
But the states that legalize gun things,
that is coming to a boil at some point, because there are actually like banking problems that run into with the the marijuana dispensaries, because they can't
deal in cash,
right?
Because they can't use the banking system.
To that, there's South African level hits on some of the big dispensaries, and they have security forces that rival like NYPD.
Oh yeah, because it's an all cash business. They can't take credit cards. They can't even take checks. They barely have a bank account.
Right. And that's, full disclosure, I am 100% in favor of legalizing literally everything and let people fry their fucking brains and live with the choices of your own decisions. Now, unfortunately, we live in an age where nobody is responsible for a single fucking thing they do.
Right.
So it's tempered a little bit, but
well, it's not going to matter, Jay, because if things keep going the way they're going, we're all going to balkanize anyway, and every state's going to go do their own thing. So,
but from a federal perspective, there's going to be a reckoning, because it's still, every time I see someone in my industry be like, oh, well, I went to the dispensary. I'm like, you're a moron, because it's still illegal at the federal level.
Right. And everybody that lies on their 4473 is leaving themselves open for prosecution.
Except Hunter Biden.
Right. Well, there's exceptions, right?
But yeah, and it's stupid. It's short-sighted. I do not understand why marijuana of all things is still illegal in any capacity. It's like, man, you just look at a dude who's had 10 beers. Look at a dude who's had 3 joints. Which is preferable? Do you want the guy that's fucking puking and starting fights, or the guy that's macrame his ass into the sofa?
Right.
Which of these is worse?
Oh yeah.
It's a gateway.
I mean, you can make the argument. I mean, there's people can argue about whether marijuana is safe or not, or has long-term harm or not. But the reality is that compared to alcohol, the impact on violence against other people is greatly diminished.
And to be honest, yes, you're still impaired. Like if you get behind the wheel of a car,
sure.
But you know what? You're going 8 miles an hour, so it's really not a big deal, dude.
Well, also, you know what? They have the breathalyzers. I mean, it's illegal to drive impaired. They have the breathalyzers. They can test for that. They treat it.
Exactly.
I don't see the problem.
The entire framework is there. You
Right.
make it, 21 purchase, 21 to own. You can't drive.
Right.
And why not make money off it? You tax it. Although, did you see the report? Speaking of taxing it, was it California?
It was California or Colorado. I can't remember which one it was, but
I think Colorado, actually, because I know it's legal in Colorado. They had to suspend collecting the tax because people had gone back to the black market.
Right. Because the drug dealers were
so bad. It's like, guys, really?
Yeah.
Brilliant. You have this cash cow, and you have to fuck it up.
Yeah. Well, it's the government. What do you know?
Yeah. But just
I don't have a show and tell. Do you?
I do. I drug out one of my favorite pocket knives.
Okay.
Is the Crkt Crossbones.
Ooh, that's cool.
It is a very slim.
Looks like a humerus.
That's not funny. Oh, I get a dad joke, but it's almost like a fillet blade.
I was just gonna say it looks like a filleting knife. Yeah,
but it's very thin. It's just a simple little flipper and a liner lock.
Yeah.
It's very, very light. I think the scales are titanium with the G10 insert, or it might be just glass filled nylon, but has a lanyard loop because we all have lanyards these days. But
absolutely,
very, very minimalist pocket clip.
Cool.
It is. I like it. It's a neat little knife.
Looks neat.
I was running through, and it was funny because I was looking, going through one of my 5, 6 knife drawers, and I was like pulling them out, and I'm like, oh, how about this one? I've already shown this one. How about this one? Oh, I already shown this one.
You should take out the ones you've shown and put them in another drawer.
They should have a separate drawer.
Have a separate drawer for the ones that. Yeah.
One of these days, I'm going to drag my bat left out and have to stand way back and hold my lawnmower blade.
We should get Mad St. Jack on to do his knife segment. Talk about somebody that's probably got more knives than all of us put together.
Yeah, go almost certainly, and knows about all of them. It's I know some of the steels and D2 tool steel and 8CR MOV, 8CR 14 MOV, blah 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 blah. I have no idea what any of it means. I know. I'm like shit. I'm like a 440 stainless from 1980. So
I can look it up.
Yeah. It's like I can find the information if I have to, but all I know is it's easy to sharpen. It holds an edge. That's
good enough.
That's all you need to know.
All right, man.
You're
going to be out. Are you going to be out next week?
Next week will be. No, not next week. The week after. The week between Christmas and New Year's.
Next week's the 23rd.
It'll be the last.
We actually talked about doing a show on the 23rd, didn't we? I think we did.
I'm up for a show on the 23rd.
Okay, but the 30th you're going to be going.
30th, I will not be available. I'll be I'll be indisposed. Let's put it.
You'll be elsewhere. You'll be at a secure location.
A secure location with a 6'4", 200-pound all muscle sailor guarding the house. Although, again, the thermostat is in danger.
You need a lockbox on that thing.
I need a nest that I can lock him out of. I'm just joking. I mean, he punched it up like 3 degrees. I wouldn't, if he remembered to turn it back down, I never would.
Oh no.
I know. I'm like, seriously, dude, 3 degrees? Like, if you're gonna do it, go big. Crank it up to like 75 and sit around in your underwear.
Put on a sweater, boy.
If I was your age, we had to chop wood to keep warm.
All right, man.
All righty.
I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Yeah.